All righty, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell, and it's a Monday, and it's congratulations to everyone in the world for a couple of things. I know there's storms and things that are going on in the world. My sister actually lives in Portugal, and they had a massive hurricane, just wiped everything out. So my heart goes out to all of you who are suffering through some of that weather. But also, I want to congratulate everyone making it through that 1 week, the worst week of our life. And that week is, of course, the week where there's no football, right? I mean, there was Senior Bowl and all that stuff. And of course, we got the Pro Bowl coming up. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But it's now Super Bowl week. We're here. It's arrived. It's our best week of the year. And I can't wait. It's super exciting. So we're going to talk a lot this week. By the way, I'm kind of all over the place, which is normal, but I'm literally all over the place this week. So just bear with wherever I am. It's good things. It's good places. It's all about making this show better. Of course, it's all about making my life better, too, because I'm going on a little vacation. But on the vacation, we're going to keep bringing the show. So got some fun guests this week that you want to check out. So we got it going on. So hang with us. We're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, I ran into this article, and I thought it was so fascinating. It was about the 60th anniversary Super Bowl, and it's the 60th anniversary all-time team. And the team is good, right? I mean, it's so hard to argue who should be and who shouldn't be and all this great stuff. But there are some names on there. You go, okay, that's interesting. But I got to tell you, the practice squad, there's actually a practice. This is like the whole roster. Okay. This isn't just, this is a whole roster deal. And the practice squad, wait till you hear that one. That's just comical. So let's kind of start into this. And of course, there's all kinds of criteria. I love these lists, and they give their rationale and all that stuff. And I'm not going to give any rationale for it. I'm just going to tell you what it is and tell you see what you think about this. Okay, so the coach of the Super Bowl is none other than Bill Belichick, right? And Bill Belichick, of course, he can't even make the Hall of Fame, but he can make the list of the top coach over the last 60 Super Bowls. So Martin, did they get it right on the coach? And who else would you pick as assistant coaches if you're picking your coaching program? Holy cow, Martin, you okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot my mic was still on. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh no, it's okay.
Well, I mean,
So is
obviously,
Belichick the head coach? I mean, if you're building a Super Bowl team, the best one, is he your guy?
I am going to go with a hot take to start. I'm gonna say no.
What?
Um,
Come
he's not
on.
mine.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
if I had to
Who is
pick,
it? Mike Ditka from
no, 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 no,
Chicago?
no, 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 no. I'm not going down that route. Mike only won one. If Mike won like four or five, then I would put him in the conversation. Okay, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Bill Belichick has won the most as a head football coach. But I would choose a man that's name is on that trophy before I would choose Bill Belichick. I
Ooh.
would choose Tom Landry before I would choose Bill Belichick. I would choose.
Oh, hold on. Tom
I would
Landry's name
choose.
is not on the trophy.
No, I know that, but Vince Lombardi, I would choose first. I would go Tom Landry second. I would go Chuck Noll third. I would go those three guys before I would go Bill Belichick. Listen, his incredible run is incredible, but the three other guys have one thing that Bill Belichick doesn't have, which is an asterisk towards their name about cheating, which is also one of the
Oh,
reasons why he got left out of the Hall of Fame. So, I mean I'm as much as I hate the cheeseheads and I don't like them at all, I would choose Vince Lombardi to be the head
wow.
coach of the 60th anniversary team for the Super Bowl.
You are on moral high ground. This isn't Pete Rose. He didn't bet on games.
No,
Uh,
but if you have two franchises that complain to the NFL saying that they recorded your walk-ins on Saturday afternoon by the Rams and the Panthers the day before the Super Bowl, then I think there's some credibility that's got to be taken into that Spygate, Deflategate. I mean, he won three Super Bowls and he won that way with a little bit of video watching. So I think that's an asterisk that's got to be next to your name, even though you have some of the greatest numbers in coaching history.
okay. So it's a staff, right? There's one head coach, but you have named all the other ones. So Vince Lombardi, Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, Tom Landry, Don. By the way, I'd put Bill Walsh as the head coach before I put Tom Landry as the head coach. I put Andy Reid as the head coach. Andy's done quite well in Super Bowls.
Okay.
Anyways, they're all on the list. Okay, quarterback starter is Tom Brady. Backup is Joe Montana, and for a little depth, they're going to throw in Patrick Mahomes. They get that one right?
Tom Brady, Joe Montana, yes, they got that one right. Patrick Mahomes already a third alternate. I mean, are we just forgetting about Terry Bradshaw? Are we just forgetting about John?
Oh no, we're not going to forget about Terry Bradshaw. He's coming up later.
Okay, all right.
But yes, we are forgetting about him. Who else? Look, the Steelers won in spite of Terry Bradshaw. Come on, we all know that.
I know that. I mean,
at least early on, fine. His last 2 Super Bowls, he was great. But the first 2, it was all about that defense.
It was. I give you that. Even Roger Staubach, I think of. I get it. I do get it.
So you'd want Roger Staubach in there?
I would want Roger the Dodger somewhere on that list.
Okay. Emmitt Smith, Terrell Davis, and Franco Harris are your running backs.
I mean, I gotta agree. If we're going off of just amount of Super Bowl wins, I have to agree. I can't argue with that one. You know where I'm going with this one, but he only won 1 Super Bowl. The others won 3 to 4 Super Bowls. I can't argue it.
Okay, what about a guy like? Would you put Walter Payton? Because I understand it's about the number of Super Bowls and it's the long-term success.
Yeah.
I mean that's part of what this list is. Larry Zonk is the fullback. He's the only fullback, so you don't have an option there. They don't even have fullbacks anymore, so it's just kind of one of these things. Okay, here's what's interesting. They have a left wide receiver, a right wide receiver, and a slot wide receiver. And I think they messed this one up. So you have Jerry Rice and Cliff Branch as your left. You have Julian Edelman and John Stallworth as your right. And your slot wide receiver is Lynn Swann. Lynn Swann's not your slot. Like, if anything, Edelman's your slot guy, right? I mean, he had some amazing I can't believe that Julian Edelman. I don't know. I think Julian Edelman's extremely overhyped, but that's my opinion.
100% agree. This is going deep into the slot receiver bag here, but I would put Ed McCaffrey before I would put Julian Edelman on that list. I mean, he did
Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah, I would. If we're gonna go off of that type of player that didn't do anything but gets credit for the Super Bowls, I'd put McCaffrey before I would put Julian Edelman. That's if we're going off of this criteria. I get it. He won 3 Super Bowls and he made one of the greatest catches in the comeback win. But I'm putting McCaffrey before I put Edelman. I think they got that list completely wrong. But again, these guys go off of Super Bowl wins, so you can't really argue with it. I mean, where's Michael Irvin? I was waiting for Michael Irvin's name to come up, and you never said it. And
hold on a minute.
Okay.
See, I think I'm going to take. I think I would take Jerry Rice, Lynn Swann, and Michael Irvin, and I don't care. Like that's my top 3 wide receivers.
Yeah,
that's a no-brainer for me.
Okay,
we're gonna go left tackle Art Shell, left guard Gene Upshaw, center Mike Webster, right guard Larry Little, right tackle Forrest Gregg, and tight end Rob. Well, we'll just go that far. We won't go to the tight ends yet.
Yeah.
The backups are Orlando Pace, Nate Newen, Creed Humphrey, old guy with Kansas City, Mark Schlereth, Anthony Munoz with Cincinnati. And again, it's wins because Forrest Gregg, they won a lot of titles with Green Bay. Anthony Munoz never won a title, but Anthony Munoz, I don't care. I'm putting him. It's like, yeah, dude, you're on. If you're in the Super Bowl, you are on my team because I don't know about that one.
I can't argue that list. Those are some of the greats at each position. You got me. I 100% agree with that list.
Tight ends Rob Gronkowski and Travis Kelce. Are those your best tight ends ever in the Super Bowl?
Thinking through the list here, I'd say if we're going off Super Bowl wins, yes.
Who's better, Gronk or Kelsey?
Gronk. There's no argument about that one. Gronk
Okay.
is a better tight end than Kelsey. Yeah, you got if I mean if, like I said, we're going out before the four Super Bowl wins. Yeah, they got it right.
Okay, fine. If that's what you're gonna pick.
I
The couple of
mean,
names on there, I'm just like, nah, I don't know.
I
Anyways,
can't argue for Casper from the Oakland Raiders. I can't really argue for Mike Ditka when he won with the Dallas Cowboys. Like I mean Shannon Sharp. I guess that name just came back to me. I
yeah.
guess I put Shannon Sharp ahead of Kelsey. I think Sharp was a lot better than Kelsey, but again, we're
Ooh,
going off the Super Bowl wins, and Sharp only
ooh.
has two, and Kelsey has three.
You might be right about that. Actually, you might be right about that. Um, yeah, I don't know. The wide receiver thing is throwing me off just a little bit, but
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
we'll figure that one out. We'll figure that one out. Okay. I'll tell you a guy in speaking of wide receivers. This is the one guy that I just um I don't know why he's not there, and that or I don't know why he's not talked about more, because he's a guy that I like is Hines Ward with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now maybe it's because the Steelers were so much about running and they had the bus and they had all this stuff,
Mhm.
but Hines Ward, man, he's a guy I throw the ball to. I really would. I would 1000% throw the ball to Hines
If
Ward.
if he was the one, if it wasn't if Hines Ward had caught the ball in the Super Bowl comeback versus the Cardinals instead of Mike Wallace, I 100%
Yeah.
agree with you. He contributed to those two Super Bowl teams, but I think I agree with you. Hines Ward gets overlooked so many times. If he's on that practice squad team, I wouldn't argue it.
Okay, let's go to the defense. Defensive line. I'm going to go with the defensive ends first.
Ooh.
You have Reggie White and Richard Dent. So you got the Bears and the Packers. I know you like that one. And then you have Bruce Smith and Elsie Greenwood are the other defensive ends.
Whew,
I'll just tell you, Bruce Smith is my favorite defensive end of all time. I think he's the greatest. I think he gets his due, but I don't think he really gets his due. I think, and Reggie White, it just, he's such a dominant force,
yeah,
unbelievable. Richard Dent, by the way, was another one of those really, really good, but kind of underappreciated, hyped. It's almost like you could have an amazing team of underhyped players that a guy who was great in the Super Bowl, speaking, this is back on offense, is Marcus Allen
mhm.
was amazing. But yeah. So those are your four. Of course, Elsie Greenwood, he's up for the Hall of Fame, and he was a part of that great Steelers team. I don't know that Elsie Greenwood is on par. I mean, he's a backup, fine, but I'll tell you the guy is Charles Haley. Why I don't know why Charles Haley isn't on this
I would
list at all, but that dude, and maybe it's because um, he's misunderstood. I'll just say he's misunderstood by people.
I agree with that as well. Haley, I mean, he's got the second most Super Bowls by a player because he's only two behind Tom Brady, so he's up there. And I'm thinking maybe you can give a little bit of a giveaway. But did they classify Lawrence Taylor as an outside linebacker? Because I
Oh
know he
yeah,
didn't put his hand in the dirt, but he played a lot of that
yeah,
defensive end spot when he played in the NFL.
yeah.
Because I was surprised his name didn't come up. But I like the list. I would slightly give the nod to Charles Haley ahead of Richard Dent. Even though I'm a Bears fan, I would put Haley ahead of Dent just because Haley was a monster. And yeah, the Cowboys win Super Bowls, but I don't think they win it as dominant as they did without Haley.
Well, the way they do this, and I should clarify it because these names are going to come up. They have you have a 4 down line, you have a 3 down line, and these linebackers like Lawrence Taylor, Charles Haley, are guys that would fit more in a well, Charles Haley was a part of he was a rush end all the time.
Yep,
So I'd put Charles Haley ahead of Elsie Greenwood.
I
Um,
don't disagree with that.
yeah. But so they have outside linebackers. Well, they have nose tackles. Reggie Kinlaw, who's an old dude, and I'm trying to think of. I can't. Well, I'll just tell you guys like Sam Adams but he's again a four down guy. All right, so here's the outside linebackers: Lawrence Taylor, Charles Haley on one side, Von Miller and Jack Ham on the other side. Again, see, Jack Ham was part of a four down line. Charles Haley is not a linebacker. Lawrence
No.
Taylor is more of a rush end, but he's
Yeah.
in a 3-4 defense. So they're kind of getting all these guys in, somehow, some way. I mean, again, this is your roster, so it's hard to say, well, no, we're not gonna. So I guess they may be out of position, but I'm at least pleased that they're on the list. So I know I'll sleep better tonight knowing that Charles Haley, Lawrence Taylor made the list. Jack Ham is that really the best guy? I don't know.
I mean, Lambert was the more scary guy, but Ham was really the mind behind that whole entire defense. I agree with you. I think the issue they ran into this list, Scott, they were so energetic about making this list that they realized, oh, we have way too many guys and not enough spots. We just have to
Yeah.
throw a bunch of names at this list, whether it makes sense or not. And so this is what they came up with. I mean, yeah, I guess if we're gonna go out by these criteria, yeah, Charles Haley and Lawrence Taylor are the correct answers. As the starters, and the backups are correct too.
Yeah, it's a hard list. I mean,
Yeah,
and that's what you kind of start going through it, and you go, "There's probably 5 or 6 guys on here that aren't even on here, or even close to." And again, it's your roster, so
yeah.
you can't have everyone, so it's kind of a challenge. Speaking of Jack Lambert, here's your inside linebackers: Jack Lambert, Ray Lewis are your starters. Mike Singletary, Derek Brooks. Derek Brooks was really good. By the way, all of them in the Hall of Fame. Mike Singletary, I believe all of these players. I don't think there's a player on this list that's not in the Hall of Fame. Julian Edelman, and he'll probably, I don't know if he'll be there or not. Anyways, Mike Singletary, Derek Brooks, your backups, but did they get it right with Lambert and Lewis as your starters?
I think so. I mean, you talk about a scary look that had that toothless smile and just was about to beat the living crap out of you no matter what. Jack Lambert was that guy. I mean, he was the perfect
Yeah.
image for that during that era for the Steelers. Ray Lewis, there's no argument there. He's one of the top three greatest linebackers of all time. I love Mike, but I think in the backup role is right where he belongs. He was an amazing coverage linebacker during the day. He could hit as well. And Derek Brooks, man, I mean, played in that Tampa 2 defense. This is the reason why they were named after that defense. He was a phenomenal player, and he does deserve to be as a backup. His name deserves to be on that list.
Jack Lambert, of course, he was part of those great teams, but I'm wondering, I'm like, could he is Singletary, Brooks, are they better? I don't know. Jack Lambert is he's the guy that you're afraid of. Like he's the guy you have to be worried because you just know he actually is crazy. And that's the kind of player like that, oh man, that quiet intimidation. And I don't think anybody did it better than Jack Lambert. He was amazing.
Here's a name that I think could have considered some consideration is Ray Nitschke from the
Yeah.
Packers days. I think he deserved a little consideration. I don't know if they would have put him as outside or inside, but Ray Nitschke was also like before Jack Lambert, that scary, tall,
Yeah.
lengthy white linebacker that just was going to kill somebody.
And it's hard, different eras and all that stuff. And I mean, but it's, yeah, interesting. Okay, cornerbacks. You have Mel Blount on one side, Herb Adderley on the other as the starters. The backups are Lester Hayes and Deion Sanders. Woo.
Really?
How can you not have Deion Sanders as your starter? Like I think they're holding it against him forever. They drafted his son in the 5th. Everyone's against Deion Sanders. Can't even put him. Look, he's first on my list. I definitely, and Mel Blount just has. There's certain people that have great football names, like Nitschke and Blunt.
Mhm.
Those are just awesome names. You got to put them on the list just because they have amazing names.
Listen, Adderley is the first guy that won, what was it, 5 Super Bowls? He won 'em for, like, 5 in
Yeah.
8 years because he won with the Packers, he won with the Cowboys. I totally
Yeah.
100% get it, but come on, it's Deion Sanders. Everyone tries to hold it against Deion that he didn't have a high career number of interceptions. The simple reason is because nobody was throwing it to his side of the field. You were not going to
Yeah.
be on the highlight tape. You didn't want to be on the highlight tape. You didn't want to be the quarterback that did that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get it. Adderley was phenomenal back then, but Dion and Mel Blount are your starters. There's no question about that one. And yeah, I don't disagree with Mel Blount at all. The first great legendary, lockdown corner of his entire era. Like, yeah, it should be Dion and Mel Blount. Adelaide should be a backup. There's no question.
Well, that if you remember the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, where they threw it to Larry Brown's side, and he had 3 interceptions, I think, in the game. And Dion's over there, man. It's like you're too good, and you get penalized for it because they don't
Yeah,
throw your way, and so you don't have those opportunities. Yeah.
just disappointing.
All right, safeties. Ronnie Lott and Ed Reed are your 2 starters. Hard to disagree with that one. Willie Wood and Darren Woodson, your backups. Yeah, it's a kind of like you have Ronnie Lott and Ed Reed. It's just it kind of ends there, starts there. That's fine with me. I don't have a problem
I
with it.
agree with that. I think the
Backups,
fact,
maybe you find someone else, but
I mean, if they're gonna put, they put Anthony Munoz on this list. Rod Woodson did win a Super Bowl, but that was in his later days with the Ravens. But Rod Woodson during the mid '90s,
yeah,
that was a guy that you didn't throw the ball to his side either.
yeah,
So I really do like that consideration, but no argument out of that.
yeah,
Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, top 2.
yeah. Rod Woodson, yeah, Rod Woodson's amazing. Okay, now let's get to your specialist. Mike Webster is your long snapper, fine, because you got to
Yeah,
have one of your team, and he's
yeah,
probably
you
the
gotta have
only
one
one
of
that
those
can do.
guys.
Your kicker's Vinatieri. I don't think there's any like Adam Vinatieri did some of the most impressive things I've ever seen with a kicker. Some of those field goals that he kicked were just phenomenal in the weather conditions and the pressure to win. And I don't think anyone did it better, longer under more pressure than Adam Vinatieri. I don't think it's a no brainer to me that he's the
Absolutely.
kicker.
Yeah.
Ray Guy is the punter, and Desmond Howard is your. I mean, what about Devin Hester? Who's better, Devin Hester, or Desmond Howard?
Devin Hester, come on. That's like asking me what's better, a steak or chicken. Everyone's gonna
I
say steak. Okay,
yeah.
look, yeah, okay, it's fine. It's okay. It's
I
okay.
mean, you
I
can't
mean,
go wrong with Desmond Howard, but you certainly can't go wrong with Devin Hester either.
you could throw in. Listen, there's 4 guys you can throw into that conversation. It's Yeah, I guess yeah. But no, it should be Devin Hester. It's just Devin Hester.
All right.
Devin Hester. That's it.
Unless it's yeah. I don't even know why he's and there's no backups by the way on this. It's just there's just one guy. Okay, here's your practice squad. This is the one I want to get to, and the
Oh, I want
judge
to hear
says
this.
so. The practice squad quarterback is Terry Bradshaw. I just wanted to say that, like Terry Bradshaw is on the practice squad, and I think that's funny. Your right tackle Lane Johnson, who's a great player
Yeah.
with the Eagles, and here's your buddy wide receiver Michael Irvin. Is on the practice. See, I can see Edelman on the practice squad. I can't.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
can
see
too.
Michael Irvin on and then Paul Warfield, who's a great wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, and
Yeah,
probably gets under. He's another one of those underappreciated guys. Offensive tackle Will Winston Hill, and here's one for you. Defensive tackle Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp was a great player. Like
just
Warren Sapp was phenomenal.
Warren Sapp, Mean Joe Green. Like another name that was coming to my head as we were talking is where's Ted Hendricks?
Yeah,
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 like I mean,
I know.
where's he at?
Yeah.
I just I
I mean,
yeah
you could say a lot of those guys. You could say Lyle Alzado. You could
yeah
say Howie Long. Was
yeah
was was really good. The linebackers, Willie Lanier, great player for the Kansas City Chiefs,
Mhm.
Chuck Howley, and Nick Bonacani are
Okay. Yeah.
Nick Bonacani. The Dolphins, man, they were pretty good. I think they get definitely under respected. Well, they got a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame from those early Dolphins team, and then the final one is free safety Jake Scott. See, I think Jake Scott could be a backup guy with your safeties. Jake Scott was a heck of a player and
Ano
was
you know,
phenomenal in Super Bowls.
another name that doesn't get thrown in here, where's Darrelle Revis? I know he won one towards the end of his career, but there's a reason why we said Revis Island. I know it's with the Jets, but
Yeah.
he did win significantly with New England. And where are the McCourty brothers? They were respected in their own right as well, and they were phenomenal during their time. Yeah, I get it. There's again, like I said, there's way too many names and
Yeah.
little too many spots.
It's really true. It's a fascinating list. I found it kind of fun. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got some NFL news of notes happening, some hirings, firings, and the Pro Bowls going on. There's always fascinating things with the Pro Bowl. We'll share that when the Down and Dirty returns.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. We're so glad that you could join us on the show. Fun show today. Of course, it's at Monday when you're trying to get back from the lost week. It's just a lost week. In fact, I don't think we should count it. I think it should. It's take some time off of your life because last week was not fair. Should not have happened. So now we're on to bigger and better things. Of course, we were hoping to get the Pro Bowl out of the way maybe last weekend. Not going to happen. So we've got to deal with it during this week, which we will. We'll give it its right due. There's some some interesting names on the Pro Bowl list and some interesting names not on the Pro Bowl list as always, and that's always a discussion. But there's some fascinating news out of the NFL, and one of the things that came out today was the NFL has signed a multi-year deal to broadcast and bring games to Madrid, Spain. So you're infiltrating Europe is what's happening with the NFL, and it doesn't seem to be a thing where people are too concerned about it. In the sense, like always as a player, I'm just like, whoa, that just seems so hard. I know it was fun. I've actually played in Europe before, and it was under different circumstances. A preseason game, it was in the World League and all that stuff, and that was actually quite fun. It was because people don't know what football's about over there, and so they're just excited and they're cheering for everyone. It's fun, it's funny, and it's something that they're starting to gather a broader interest in for sure. I mean, the NFL across the world is now kind of taking its foothold. So we've landed on the beaches of Madrid, which I don't even think is on a beach, but we have hit places like England, in London and other places. So in fact, there were multiple games over in I believe Ireland and England last year, and that will just continue. And of course, it's going to continue until there's probably a division over there. NFL Europe, like legitimate NFL Europe, what would happen? And we all know the reason why. I mean, the NFL is looking for all of the possible ways to expand. So they've expanded into gambling. They've now expanded into bigger markets, and broader markets across the world. And it's a business, and that's what you do. And I'm not really against it. The gambling thing concerns me. It's going to continue to be a problem. It's going to continue to be a challenge for sure. I have no question about that. But to go over to Europe, I think is incredible. And I would love for the day when, there's it's maybe it's two divisions over there. There's one in the NFC, there's one in the AFC. They compete, and they have the same type of record, and they come over to the United States. I think you might. I love relegation. First time I heard relegation, I'm like, how dare you? It's blasphemous. This is football. But now that I've thought about it, it's like, no, it's really good. It makes you compete, and it makes you not have to watch the bad teams. You're always going to get the best team. So maybe relegation becomes a part of the NFL in the future. Who knows? But I love the broadening of the game and the bigness of it, and it just makes it that much bigger and better. At what point will we have the NFL in our midst all the time, all over the world? It's already happened. It's already happening. You're playing meaningful games. You're playing games that count against your schedule, your record, and so they're already there. And I think we've slowly begun to realize it's a big deal, especially with this news of Madrid. Okay, there's a couple of other things too. A couple of new coaches got hired. You have let's see. You have well, he's not actually hired. Coach of the Green Bay, not the Green Bay Packers, but Seattle. Why can't I bring up his name? I'm like lost in all of these things. I'm looking it up. Anyways, yes. Clint Kubiak is going to be the head coach of the Raiders, and of course, he's the offensive coordinator for Seattle, and it's that hot coordinator thing again, which is fine, and I guess it's fine, but when you get down to the very last guys on teams, I don't know that it means they're not going to succeed. I think the expectation is that they're not going to succeed. And it's always fascinating to me where, someone like Clint Kubiak, all of a sudden he goes to a place and it's that magic that turns it around. It's that Dan Campbell magic. It's that Ben Johnson magic. It's that Nick Sirianni magic for a moment. And in places, I think there's not an expectation to win. And even though these guys aren't, picked last or picked first, they're picked last. And they're just like, I'll take a head coaching job. I'm happy to do that. I think they, the NFL, if it's one thing, there's no guarantee of anything. Like there's just no guarantee. There's no guarantee. You have these great players. You have this. It's just so fascinating how everything in the NFL changes on a dime, and you look at things and you're just like, this is going to last forever. Sorry, Martin, to bring this up, but the 1985 Chicago Bears, for me, are one of those teams like, well, this is going to be a dynasty. Watch out for these guys forever. And no, it wasn't. And then you have places like they're never going to win a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, and lo and behold, they do it, and they do it with the most, I think, um, unlikely head coach. I mean, here they have Andy Reid for all these years, and then in comes Doug Peterson, who, by the way, at the time was ranked the 32nd best coach in the NFL, and he goes and wins a Super Bowl in Philadelphia where no one had ever done it before. And it's not, and that's not a knock on Doug. Doug Peterson can be on a show tomorrow, and it's not a knock on him. It's just no one knows the craziness of the NFL. I mean, you could say the mid '90s Dallas Cowboys should have been this massive dynasty, and then Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson can't get along. So you have these new coaches come in, and you just don't know. You just don't know if it's the dawn of a new legend. If it, I think Bill Belichick going to New England was, I don't think anyone foresaw that being, a multi-decade, 7-10 Super Bowl, whatever they ended up when they won 6 of them. And I don't think anyone saw that. I remember playing against the Patriots, and I think it was Belichick's second year up there. And one of my former offensive lineman teammates from the Lions, Mike Compton, we had just beat him in Cincinnati, and that's when they started 0-2. That was the game before the one that Bledsoe got hurt in. And I remember talking to Mike and just said, what's it like up there? And he says, I hate it. It's like high school, and it's just so ridiculous here. And I'm just, and Mike had a penchant to kind of, complain, but it wasn't like anyone was saying, oh yeah, here come watch out for the Patriots. So these hires, even though these late season ones or the last to be picked ones, who knows, we may be we may be on the verge of the resurgence of the Raiders, and we may not too. I mean, it's not a completely guaranteed thing, so that's okay. It doesn't matter. All right, so I want to talk about the Pro Bowl, and the Pro Bowl has always been this. If we want to talk about unpredictable, we went through this whole kind of someone's opinion of the very best roster from the last 60 Super Bowls, and now they have the Pro Bowl, which is kind of silly and kind of ridiculous. Shedeur Sanders being a Pro Bowl player. I mean, I remember Tyler Huntley being a Pro Bowl player, and he was garbage when he was playing for the Ravens. That's not Pro Bowl play, and it's very similar to I think it's extremely disgraceful. I think it's one if the Pro Bowl is about recognition for the very best players at that position, then stuff like that should just not happen. And you have a challenging thing because these players have to go play in a game, and so you're trying to find replacements, or you're trying to find the next person. And I believe and it has to be something across the board. It's like the players have to say, I'm going to support it, I'm going to be a part of it, I'm going to participate in it, I'm going to celebrate the greatness of our league and the greatness of this status of being a Pro Bowl player, and go. Now, as I look through the roster on the Pro Bowl, it's full of people from Detroit. There's quite a few players on the roster, and you go, well, how did you guys have the year you had, and you have all these Pro Bowl players? And then, of course, I went to Utah, and Utah actually has they have Devin Lloyd, who's actually on there. They have Dalton Kincaid. Now, these are guys that are on there because someone else, didn't play, but they're still, they're pretty good players. I mean, Dalton Kincaid's starting to become a target for Josh Allen. Devin Lloyd has been a pretty solid defender for the Jaguars, who have made a resurgence. And Garrett Bowles, of course, is a great tackle for the Denver Broncos. And I believe there's someone else, can't remember, but it's kind of fun to see, a lot of guys from your school being represented in the Pro Bowl. And so even though it's kind of a silly game, the prestige of being named to the Pro Bowl, I think, is a remarkable thing. And I just think everyone across the board should have the respect for it. And I get really kind of offended, I guess, by it's not an I guess. I get offended that some people just go, yeah, I'm not really good. I'm not going to the Pro Bowl this year. It's just not going to fit into my schedule. And it's like, and it's just kind of like, do you realize that there's so many players that would kill to be in the Pro Bowl? And you just kind of fly in the face of it. Now I get it. You're injured. Some of these guys are playing in the Super Bowl, so they can't go, and that's fine. But the replacement should be someone who had just if you're a quarterback, you got to throw more touchdowns than interceptions. Is that such a high bar that we can't find someone that does that? Especially in this pass happy league and what have you. I just it drives me crazy. Now, the Pro Bowl voting and all that stuff is also one of those things that's massively subjective. And I hate the subjective part of sports, by the way. I absolutely hate it. I hate that I hate that there's players that get in off of reputation. I hate it that it's based off of, like it kind of gets fed out of both sides of your mouth in the sense that, well, he's just a really good player. Like you take a Deion Sanders and go, yeah, we didn't have very many interceptions. And you go, yeah, he didn't have any interceptions because no one threw the ball to his side, and he basically shut people down. Or Deion Sanders played. I'm just using Deion as an example. He played only part of the season this year, and so the one side is, but he's Deion Sanders, right? So you go, you got to put him in there because he's just the guy. So you do it off of reputation. And then you have someone else who just had a lights out year, really deserves to go to the Pro Bowl, really had a Pro Bowl caliber season, and they're not considered. And then you have a situation where my agent used to say this, it takes usually a year extra to get voted into the Pro Bowl. And before you deserve it a year before you actually get in. And you probably don't deserve it a year after, you've actually played at a high level. So I guess it evens out in the end if you're a Pro Bowl type player, where on the front end you don't get in, on the back end they keep you in. So that to me is kind of silly. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to think of. Why that? So, anyways, the Pro Bowl game is tomorrow. The Pro Bowl games are tomorrow. It's a thing that should be a tremendous recognition for NFL players, something that should be valued and appreciated because it's on your resume, and people love to say he was a 9-time Pro Bowl player. So the game stinks. I don't know how. I don't know how to change it unless you just pit all of the countries that are represented against each other in the game. Because I like the Polynesian culture, and I just say take all the Polynesian players, put them on one team, and then let them battle it out against everybody else, and you're gonna have a good football game. Because the Polynesian culture, they just come and play hard. They're just that's you, and you got some great Polynesian players in the NFL. All right, we'll take a break. We come back. We got a question or two to answer. The curious minds want to know. One of those things is, what the heck do you do now that the offseason is here as an NFL player? Well, I'll share with you my thoughts on that when we return here on the Down and Dirty.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys, just connect it to your smartphone, and then you're going to use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty, Scott Mitchell here. Love to get down and dirty with you, especially the week of the Super Bowl. So super excited. Most players in the NFL are gone. The season's over. It's been over for them for some time. Of course, two teams, it's not the case. They're fighting to battle it out in the Super Bowl, which is always exciting. You never know what you get with Super Bowls, and there was a time with Super Bowls that it was like, oh man, these games are so boring. Like one team would blow out the other team. And, and that was a trend that kind of was in vogue for some period of time. Then the games kind of have gotten interesting. You have some overtime games. You have some incredible comeback games. The poor Atlanta Falcons. I think if there's a team and a situation that I just have so much empathy for, it's that team in that situation where they just, are you kidding me? You're just like, you let them, and everything that had to happen perfectly happened for the Patriots to come back and win that game. It's fascinating. There's a lot of situations where Tom Brady could have been, lost a lot more Super Bowls than he did. And he could have won a lot more than he did as well. Because some funny bounces, funny things happening in the Super Bowl. So over the course of its history, I love the Super Bowl. Love to watch it. It's fascinating to go to the Super Bowl. It's literally everyone who's anyone in the entire world is at the Super Bowl. Clearly, the week of the Super Bowl is far more fascinating, I think, typically than the actual game. Game drags on forever. Long breaks, commercials. Yeah, we'll get into commercials, I think, here. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on commercials after the Super Bowl, but it's always fun to watch Super Bowl commercials. It's a brilliant move to get people engaged in Super Bowl commercial watching. I mean, you're an advertiser and you want 100 million people watching your advertisement, and just the dollar amounts. It's just been fun to hear how much ticket prices have gone up, how much advertising space has gone up, and people are more than happy to pay it. But one of the things that happens at the Super Bowl is it ends and it's all over. And the boys wanted to ask me the question today of, what do you do in an offseason if you're a professional football player? There was a statistic that one of my coaches read to me, and it was the statistic of the percentage of how many NFL players actually get into trouble. Now, trouble is like they were either put in jail or they had some kind of crime that was, significant, up to the point of there have actually been some players who have murdered people, on rare occasions. Those are not really very fun. But the rate isn't necessarily more than like the general society. Like it kind of is, which was a little surprising to me. you're kind of lockstep with the normal statistics of what's actually happening. So it's not a higher percentage, but there's a real percentage there. And I always wondered, and I mean, I know why, but I'm always just flabbergasted to go, here you have this just incredible opportunity. And that, by the way, is what the NFL is. If you ever get an opportunity to get that gig, man, don't give it up, especially in the world of what it is today. And, people used to joke about Coach Shula, like he'd sell out his own mother to win. And that competitiveness and that fire to stay there, to be there, to succeed at it should come at pretty much all costs. Now, I'm not saying sell your soul. I'm just saying sell your mom. That's all. She's okay. She'll be glad because you'll buy her back later, and you'll have the money to do it. But it always fascinated me why these players would get into trouble, and trouble usually happened in the off season, and that was the point. It was like it wasn't more trouble than people in society get in trouble, but it didn't happen during the season. It didn't happen during the season because everything was so regimented. You were just like clockwork, boom, 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 but but in the off season, there's no clock. You're not on the clock. There's no time significance. And it's one of these things where you have to be self-motivated. You have to be organized. You have to be disciplined. There's a lot of things you have to do because the temptation is, I have like 6-ish months off. I think I'm a seasonal worker. When the crops are being harvested, I go and harvest the crops, and that's the NFL season. And the season is in the fall, and you go and you entertain folks for 4 months, and we are entertained, and then you're off, and you go. It was always fascinating to me early on in my career where guys had another job, or they were always looking for what are they going to do after they're done with football. And now today, all these players are talking about, what's a really sound investment that I could put some, I want to put some money in some aggressively growing, opportunities. What's out there? I really want, it's all about capital preservation for me, or, that's the conversation today. My financial guy, or I heard a hot tip on this, it's so funny. The conversations before were like, okay, what job, I remember being on a bus, and I was in Detroit, and a bunch of players actually had a book, and the book was showing all of the best franchise opportunities available to buy. And these players were looking to get into different franchising opportunities when they were done, or even while they were still playing. If you're in Detroit, the Ford, of course, Ford Motor Company, the owners of the Detroit Lions own Ford Motor Company, and they had opportunities for players to buy or to get into dealerships. And so there were all kinds of opportunities. I know in Utah, Stockton and Malone with Larry Miller and all of his car dealerships. He was a longtime owner of the Utah Jazz. So there was you're always looking for things to do. But as far as a player, I was like, okay, I'm going to, like, one of the craziest things I did in an off season was learn how to fly an airplane. And so you could do it. And so you just, the way I handled my off season, number one, I always lived in the city where I played. Like that, I got engrossed in the community. I lived there. So when the season came, it wasn't such a shock to my system, or, I just like, okay, it's just, I'm here. This is what I do. I'm a part of everything all the time, which I really liked. And I actually recommend it. And I believe a lot of guys to this point do. They kind of stay where they lived, or where they played. Clearly they stayed where they lived. Right. Most people, they don't stay somewhere else where they lived. Anyway. And I like that. But I decided that I wanted to be a pilot. I was introduced to a gentleman who had, when I was playing for the Miami Dolphins, who'd been a pilot in the military. He was a pilot for TWA, and he said, "Yeah, you can get anyone can get their pilot's license." And and it was one of those things where I was like, I just want to do something out of my comfort zone, and I've always been fascinated with flying, and so I just started. And there's a decent number of players who have actually done that before, and it was an amazing experience, and it was very cool. I know a lot of guys will do a lot of traveling. I love to fish, and so one of the things I would go are to these really fun fishing locations. But the balance for me was you can't just go into the off season and just go, okay, I'm just going to throw everything away, and meaning my work, right? So you got to work out, and that's kind of priority one. And it's like, because you have to work through. You can't just show up at training camp and get in shape. By the way, that's what they used to do. That's why training camp is so long. Ken Anderson, of course, a great quarterback for the Bengals, up for Hall of Fame this year. Part of why Belichick's having issues. Ken Anderson said we would come to training camp. You'd go with like 100, 120 players, and it was just long and grueling. And we'd work on one play for a practice. Like, it was just because we were there so long. But everyone came to training camp to actually get into shape because they had a job. Like, they were doing something else in the off season. And now you're constantly in shape all the time. And yet players, go to, Joe Burrow goes to Fashion Week. There's just the world which these players live in now is just, it's insane what's available to them. And, here I was trying to fly a little Cessna, a high wing 182, and these guys all have private jets that just take them around the world, which if I was in the NFL today, I would do that. I go, hey, you guys want to go to Paris for the day? Like, you just do dumb, crazy things like that when you can. But I'd love to go fishing. And so I'd go to this place up in Canada, and I go every year. And it was always really close because the fishing in most places is good, kind of June-ish, late June, early, and that's about the time you're going back to training camp. And so for me, it was not only did you have to physically be in shape, but your arm has to be conditioned because you're gonna do a lot of throwing in camp. And so I would take a football, and I would and I'd usually with the buddy I was fishing, and I remember dropping back in a parking lot in Minneapolis to get my workout done, throwing the football, just so I just kept my arm in tune. And I did it on this place. I was in an island in Northeast Saskatchewan, and I'm throwing passes, down this boat dock, just so my arm doesn't, because you're building up to something, and you just don't want to go into camp. So it's all about doing the crazy things that you do, but also getting your work done. And it's a hard balance. Some guys don't do it, and they get too late into the off season, and now they're not going to have the same time to get themselves, in top shape when the season starts. So off seasons are fun, but it's never the off season when you play football. All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Down and Dirty. I'm Scott Mitchell. Until then, we'll see you then.